You're listening to Alive with Elias. Welcome back, everyone, to Alive with Elias. So happy you are tuning in, whether that's on the podcast apps or here on YouTube, and you're watching me. See you watching me, girl. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I am so happy that you're tuning in. So today's episode is a little different. This is going to be geared towards those who are going back to school in college or starting college for the very first time, which could be really exciting, but also very scary at the same time. So if you're going back to college or you are going to college for the first time, today's episode is for you. You know the drill by this point. I hope you do if you're a loyal listener. Let's get into it. Well, just like a good student, I have my notebook and pen here, and I'm going to give you some practical and spiritual advice from a fellow college student, a fellow very broke college student, and I hope some of this can help you. So let's get into it. When it comes to college, I'm sure there's a lot of emotions riding up to the first day. Take a breath. It's all going to be okay. It may seem overwhelming at first, but you're going to get there. Here are my best practical steps in not only saving money, but saving time and energy. The biggest thing, if you're going to a 4-year university, you're most likely going to be taking your undergrad credits, like your math and your English and your world history, blah, 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 all those classes. You know what I'm saying? I have come to find that if you have a community college near your area and their credits are mostly transferable to your college, take them there and take them online. It's going to save you time and it's going to save you a lot of money. And that kind of goes into my other practical tip. Just give it a year. If you know for a fact that you're going to be a doctor and pre-med is your way to go for it. You know, I get it. You really feel the calling of God in your life to do that major, go for it. But I would advise taking a year of just exploring some classes that, you need to get under your belt to make sure that you know that major is for you. Because the worst thing that could happen is that it's your junior or senior year and you thought you were going to be an education major, but then you switched it your sophomore or junior year to business. You see what I'm saying? So just make sure you really, really know. My other practical step is making sure you get plugged into your community. That might be a given, but it's so, so crucial. And you might be thinking, well, Elias, I'm on a sports team. Good for you, girl. Look at you getting all physical and active. Definitely wasn't me. Love that you're on a sports team, but I think you need to diversify your friend groups as well. Love that you're a swimmer, football player, basketball player, whatever it is, but definitely ask your administration office or someone that you know that works at the university, what are some clubs or organizations that you would like to do once a month, twice a month to get plugged in? Definitely get involved. I know that Delight Ministries is a big one. You can find a church nearby that you can walk to. There's music club. If you're going to be going into business or you want to go into business, but you don't know if that's something that you want to do, join a business club. Well, what is your volunteering experience looking like? That can also be something that you're getting plugged into the community by volunteering. Just get plugged in to your community. My next one is if you're going to get a job, I just want to let you know that it just depends on the job, but sometimes universities do not pay as much for student work. So if you have the car and you have the means and you need a job, DoorDash or Pet Sit or find a job off campus that will pay a little bit more and it's more worth your time and pays you more money. For the newbies going back, I get it. You want the latest of the new things. You want to make sure you have the best iPhone, the best laptop, the best notebooks. It's not so much about having the best. It's just having what is reliable. You don't need the latest laptop to succeed in college. You just don't. In fact, I'll show you right here. This is my handy dandy laptop I have had since college, and I've been graduated a couple years now. This is called a Google Chromebook. I highly recommend that you do any of your papers or your writing on your Google account, because if you want to use a desktop or say your laptop breaks, it's okay. All your papers, all your homeworks are saved under your Google Drive, which you can access anywhere. This is a Google Chromebook that is also, I'll show you if you're watching, it's a touch screen. So it can fold and it can go into a tablet as well. And you can get them on Amazon, I think now with the economy now, for like 200 something. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you don't need the latest gadgets. This laptop has lasted me a really long time. So I definitely recommend you just finding something that's reliable and affordable and that will get the job done. I really want you to utilize this app called Rate My Professor. You plug in your university and it will tell you, you can even, I think, plug in like your major of interest, and it will tell you all the professors, and it should be current, just depends on how many students update it, of who to take, who not to take. So Rate My Professor app literally saved me so much time and so much money. This is what I mean by money. I went on there and there's all these professors that require you to get a book. You must buy this book for my class. But then there's 100 students that testify, I didn't use that book once. So if there's a lot of comments like that under that professor's name in that course, definitely take that into consideration. You have to do what you think is right. But it also told me what professors to avoid. Some students will let you know the 411. They'll keep you in the loop that this professor, they're so rigorous. If that is not your style of learning, because everyone learns differently, that app will also guide you of who to avoid and if I should buy the book or not. I thought the most cost-effective way to obtain textbooks is to rent them through a renting service. I have come to find that is not always the case. Sometimes purchasing them on Amazon is the best thing. However, this is what I did. In my college courses, I needed books. Like my professors actually used the books. I couldn't afford my textbooks. And I was like, Lord, help me afford my textbooks. And he did. He provided. One of the ways he provided is giving me the idea that you could go to your library and rent that book and just renew it. Most of the time, students never rented the books. One money-saving hack, this is going to be biased. Some of you may be like, I ain't doing that. That's fine. Do what works for you. That's fine. My scholarships and FAFSA and aid basically covered my tuition. If I wanted to live in dorms, I had to pay for it. And I just had to take a moment and step back and be like, why am I living in a dorm? Is it because it's cheaper? Statistically, that's not true. You know what? That college experience of living in the dorms wasn't worth the tens of thousands of dollars of debt that I would have to pay off. So for me, I found off-campus housing, and I was a commuter student, and I was old enough to be a commuter student when I went to college. So that worked for me and saved me thousands in the long run. It's okay. You're not missing out. I'm telling you as someone who went to a university and that loves people, you're not missing out if you don't live in the dorms and have to do something more cost effective. One of my last practical steps that I can think of on the top of my head. Whoop, my mic just fell. Sorry. Okay. Oh, it's falling. It's free falling. All right, I got it. One of my last practical steps for you is coming up with a strategy. So you're going to get your syllabus from your professors. My now husband did this and it worked brilliant for him. What he did was he created a Word document and he listed his assignments from least amount of points to most amount of points. And he just also dated them. This is due this time. This is due this time. So he prioritized his homework in a very strategic way. You have to have a strategy in college to be successful. All right, so this is going to transition to my spiritual/personal advice for college. When you are in college, there's this desire to want to try everything. Try everything once, they say, as long as it's legal and safe and not spiritually harmful. And I kind of agree with that. I think you should try new things in college as long as it's not compromising your morals and your reputation and your spiritual boundaries. With that being said, you're going to be put in situations, especially as a Christian, in environments where you are going to be tempted to drink, to get drunk, tempted to sin, tempted to go to a party or see things that you shouldn't be seeing or hear things you shouldn't be hearing. You will. It's just what's going to happen. You're going to have to stand strong. And in order to stand strong, you have to make sure you have a community, which takes me to my very first practical step is to get plugged into a community with like-minded people. So make sure that you are going to church. Make sure that you have great mentors in your life. That's why being around like-minded people is so important. And if you fall into sin, don't stay there. Have the strength to get back up and to keep living the life that God is calling you to live. Be the example. That's my next point. Be the example. And I'll give you an example right now. I had a couple of friends, and this was later in life after college. And one time they were just cussing up a storm, telling a story, saying every swear word I could possibly think of. And they just looked at me and they said, "Elias, why don't you cuss?" And I was like, "Honey, I used to cuss like a sailor. I could outcuss you any day." But, the Lord convicted me of that, and I just don't do it anymore. I also felt like it wasn't representing me, my character in Christ well, so I just don't. I had to be the example, and then they were like, "Oh, that's cool." Yeah. I thought they were going to think I was the weirdest girl and the most useless thing in conversation as a bag of hair, but I wasn't, and they thought it was pretty cool. Why? Because I set the example. Be the example. If you're on a football team and your players are listening to trash music, be the example and listen to godly music. You'd be surprised how you can meet a like-minded friend in the process or help convert a friend towards your faith in Jesus Christ. Make sure you set a productive routine. We kind of talked about that. And also pray over your classes. Make sure that you are praying and asking God to be in your classes and be in your schedule and to help you pass a certain test. Involve God in your college experience. Keep Jesus first and just realize that He will provide for you. Ask Him for help when you need help, and He will be there. Well, guys, I hope that this podcast episode was somewhat helpful for anyone going into college again or a newbie into college. If you like this episode, make sure you subscribe and like this podcast and share it with a friend who's going to college. It may help them, and let's be honest, honey, might save them thousands of dollars. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next week. Bye.